Hello and welcome to another mini training. I'm Fabi. I'm a virtual assistant and system expert for other female business owners. Supporting you put the right systems in place so you can work with more ease. And so much to juggle when we run a business. So having these kind of foundations in place can make a huge difference. So we work in a sustainable way and don't burn out. So in today's mini training, I want to talk a little bit about why maintaining your systems is an ongoing process. And I talk about systems in your business a lot, all those kind of foundational things that allow us to automate our business, to allow us not to do everything manually, but actually step away and have these things in the background running, and actually make our life much easier once that's kind of all set up. However, what happens once we've set it up, and I'm sure you experience that as well, I have myself as well. There's this one part of, you've set up a system and then you're not using it. I've talked about this in a different video. But then there's also the aspect you kind of start using it and then it gets messy. Things collect and that ends up making the system, the platform, whatever it is, really overwhelming and clunky, and you just dread to go in there because it's just really messy. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today. Because and I like using this example, just like cleaning your house, your systems also need maintenance. So let's say you've just done a big spring clean in your house, you've sorted everything out, you've deep cleaned everything, you got rid of all the clutter in the cupboards, and everything's spotless. Unfortunately, it doesn't stay that way. As nice as it would be, it won't stay that way, and we know that. It will need continuous cleaning on a weekly, daily basis, maintaining those spaces, making sure there's not more clutter going into those spaces again. But equally, those things will just collect. It's just, our day-to-day living. You will collect clutter, there will be dust, there will be times where we have to clean again. And there's this ongoing cleaning on a regular basis, so it doesn't escalate again. But then there's also a deep clean every now and then again, because no matter how much we maintain things, there still needs to be, that deeper clear up every now and then. But the better we kind of maintain the in-between, the less we have to do those deep cleans. And very similar it is with systems. And I really like the analogy because I think it makes it very clear. And a lot of the times we think, well, we just set this up, we do it once, and then we leave it. And then it should just work automatically, and then we get really frustrated when it doesn't. And I think it's just a little mindset shift into accepting that these things also need maintaining. And when we maintain them well, they can work better for us. There might be a little bit initial upfront work, but then they can work really well for us. So it's about continuously looking at your systems. Are they still working? Are you collecting clutter? It's like Google Drive, for example. You might be collecting loads of, documents here and there, and that every now and then will need sorting out because you won't need all of it. Or maybe there's a better way of organizing it, clearing out what you don't need. Because otherwise it gets cluttered and then we don't use it. And that's the ultimate kind of downfall of it, because when it gets too cluttered and overwhelming, we don't end up using it, and that's a shame because it can be really helpful having those all those systems and platforms in place. And often when we then don't use it, we blame the system. It just we just need to find something else that works better. I think that's often the case where we kind of very quickly move to. It's like, well, let's just find something else, and then we put the effort in and setting up something new or a better system. Whereas actually the old one could have worked really well, but it just needed a little bit of maintaining and clearing out. So we can establish maybe some routines of doing that on a regular basis. Again, just like a house. You might have a routine of daily, weekly cleaning. Maybe you can allocate some time slots to really look at your systems and kind of clear out a little bit, get rid of stuff you don't need, you know, to make it really, to simplify it again, but to make it, you know, up to date, because things need to be updated, because ultimately you grow, your business grows, the way you work grows and changes, and that means also the systems might need a little bit of maintenance along the way, because the way you worked before might not be quite the way you work now. There's things you don't need anymore, there's other things you need instead. So it's really important to kind of go back over it and look at it every now and then. Great example is always for me, websites, for example. It's one of those things we want to set up once and then never deal with it again. We're glad it's finally off our to-do list. But actually, even a website needs updating, because again, the way you work might change over time. You know, your values, you know what's going on in your business, your offerings might change. Dates, I see that so many times that there's like really old dates from workshops and courses on there, but actually really important to go in there regularly, making sure everything's up to date, and also adding new content, like valuable content. You know, it's not about updating things for the sake of it. It's really looking at what is necessary. You know, is there valuable content? They can add blog posts, all these kind of things that make it relevant and up to date, which, especially in terms of a website, then also helps with your search engine optimization, meaning finding you on Google will be easier. So yeah, so it's really just a little, you know, nudge and reminder to look at your systems. Do they need a bit of a sort out? Can you allocate time to just look, you know, what needs doing? And remind that kind of thing, just like a house, the system needs maintenance. You know, it can't just be set up once and just left. Usually that leads to us not using it or getting really cluttered. So just looking at my notes so I don't forget anything. So that we can really avoid things getting really overwhelming and messy, and then they don't fulfill their purpose. So instead, if maybe you can allocate, you know, little routines, that might not be daily, maybe that's a weekly thing or a monthly thing, and dedicating time to just declutter a little bit, you know, that ongoing maintenance. And then maybe on a more regular basis, like on a bigger, you know, like 6 months or something like that, depending on, you know, what it is, maybe a bigger clear out, really reviewing the documents you have, the documents in Google Drive, for example, your course platforms or whatever it is. What do you need in there? Can we get rid of stuff? Can it be stored somewhere else? You know, is it your kind of your day-to-day stuff that you need, which will help to keep things a bit more up to date, easier to use, so you don't go in there and be like overwhelmed by information. And I think we all recognise that kind of fear of going into something. It's like, oh, I really need to sort that out. So if we do that on a more regular basis, it doesn't get quite as overwhelming. And I think ultimately why we need to do this is obviously because the systems can work best for us if they're maintained and clear and tidy. So it might not be our favourite task initially, and I know that feeling of, you know, just do it once and it's done. But just reflecting a little bit over time, maybe you've done exactly that, try to find something new instead of just maintaining what you have, will make a big difference, and also can save us a lot of money and time, because switching over constantly from one system to another to find that perfect solution will cost us time and resources. So instead of working with what we have and making it work best for us, part of that is really maintaining it, decluttering, and tidying up every now and then. Alright, so I hope you found this helpful. Let me know, as always, your biggest insight of today's session. And what do you need to declutter? What system in your business do you need to look at that needs decluttering? Let me know in the comments. And thank you so much for joining, if you joined live or if you're watching the recording later. As I said, I'd love to hear your insights, and thank you for joining, and I will see you again soon in another mini training.